Rain was the weakest, ugly, lonely loser who was thrown out of the hero's party for being the most worthless teammate. Every single day of his life became filled with misery until he met the hottest cat girl, who gave him the most overpowered abilities to defeat the legendary monsters roaming the world. Before he knew it, he had created his own harem and became known as the greatest legendary adventurer. But when he was just an errand boy for a group of ungrateful heroes, the leader of the group called Rain into the base, telling him that they're going to fire him for being so useless. He wondered why they would want to get rid of him, but they all screamed in his face, saying that a Discord mod could control more kittens than he will in his entire life as a beast tamer. So Rain left the base, heartbroken by his team's betrayal, and promising to never return. In the city, he wondered how he would survive, seeing he had no job, was a brokey, and had no place to go. But some kids came over to keep him company and asked him to show them his rare animal powers. So using a temporary spell, Rain summoned an eagle to the ground and made it bow before them. The kids were very excited and called him their role model, saying they admired him more than the other douchebags pretending to be heroes. Their kind words inspired him, so Rain decided to put his skills to use and become an adventurer. At the Adventurers Guild, Rain saw Roxanne. Wrong show. Rain met Natalie's huge cannonballs, and she welcomed him to the guild, explaining that his job will be to capture monsters and protect citizens. However, Rain was already captured by her huge missiles and needed more time to gaze at them, so he asked her to continue. She began explaining the ranking system for monsters and adventurers in this world, telling him he needed to pass a trial quest before qualifying as an adventurer, and would need to defeat a group of monsters. After discovering he was a beast tamer, Natalie feared for his safety and tried dissuading him from going on the quest. But he refused and was determined to prove himself. Once he arrived, Rain found a group of gremlins eating stolen fruits, so he pulled his knife, and rushing at them, he slayed them all and gathered their rune stones on a tree stump, admiring his treasure. As he put them in his pouch, he heard a scream from the middle of the forest, and immediately rushed over to see who it was. As soon as he arrived, he found a girl scared because of a huge killer tiger that was ready to devour her. Before the tiger could launch his attack, Rain immediately charged at it, and stabbed the beast with his knife. However, the tiger was a D-rank monster, so its titanium furs broke Rain's knife in half and sent him flying to the ground. It turned its attention towards him and was ready to end his life in that moment, but the girl suddenly jumped high into the sky, and landing a mighty kick on the tiger's neck, she killed it in that instant. After taking a closer look at the mysterious girl, Rain discovered she was a member of a rare species of creatures with high-class powers, referred to as cat spirits. However, the impact from killing the tiger had drained all her energy, causing her to faint in his arms. Luckily, he had some food in his bag and offered her some, so she introduced herself as Kanabe, immediately becoming fond of him and thanking him for saving her before she met her doom. Rain asked her why she was alone in the forest, so she told him she was on a journey to discover the wonders of this world. And seeing he had a special ability as a beast tamer, she believed he could take control over her and share in her powers. Rain realized that he could finally become more powerful using Kanabe's powers, so he agreed and became her master. After nicking a finger with his teeth, a drop of his blood fell on his hand, activating a bonding spell between them. So they recited their names and united their hearts, transferring their auras into one another in a permanent bond. After this was over, Kanabe was marked with a symbol on her hand representing their union. At the Adventurers Guild, Natalie congratulated Rain for passing his trial and presented him with an identification card, officially assigning him the position of an F-rank adventurer. Right after, Rain received 50 copper coins, but he considered it a small reward for his troubles. In an attempt to encourage him, Natalie suggested he took part in more missions to earn a higher pay. Later at the reception, Rain told Kanabe that he was now an official member of the guild, and she was really happy for him. But as they tried to leave, an arrogant adventurer came to woo Kanabe with smooth pickup lines from his favorite subreddit. However, Rain rained on his parade, telling him she already belonged to him. Jealous of their union, the man challenged Rain to an arm wrestling match, saying the winner will keep the girl, so Rain agreed to the contest. They faced off against one another, and Rain locked hands with the man in a contest of strength, each looking to overpower the other. However, Rain smashed his hand on the table, breaking it in that instant, and sending the man falling to the ground, crying. Having seen enough, Natalie apologized to Rain and Kanabe for his unruly behavior and admitted she was impressed by Rain's strength. But even Rain was shocked, because he did not realize that bonding with Kanabe would upgrade his physical abilities. Later that day, they headed to the field to gather herbs, and this was Rain's first quest as an adventurer. But Kanabe was disappointed, having expected a dangerous quest instead. However, Rain told her he had to prove himself before he was assigned on tougher quests, and as he said his last words, he controlled the rabbits with his special skills, making them gather enough herbs to speed up his work. Out of nowhere, they heard a scream and began running towards it. When they arrived at the scene, they saw a group of bandits robbing an old man and ready to kill him, but Rain charged at them, determined to save the man. He threw several punches and kicks at the bandits, brutally beating them and impressing Kanabe with his martial arts skills. The old man thanked him, but confessed he was afraid the bandits would return, so Rain decided to capture them all and prevented that from ever happening. However, Kanabe didn't like the idea, as there were over 100 of them, but Rain assured her he had a perfect plan. With the help of a squirrel, Rain located the bandits' hideout and asked Kanabe to call the Order of Knights to join in the attack. After she left, Rain utilized his special skill and controlled an army of bees, making them sting the bandits and put them all to sleep. When Kanabe arrived with reinforcements, they were all surprised at the sight of the sleeping bandits, wondering how Rain managed to knock all of them out. Suddenly, the cave began to crumble, and 3 giant king lizards emerged from the darkness, ready to attack anyone in sight. One of the king lizards tried attacking Rain, but he knocked it out with a single punch, and Kanabe flew high into the air, knocking out another king lizard with an incredible kick. Rain immediately ordered the adventurers to rescue the bandits from the cave, leaving him and Kanabe behind. Together, they charged towards another king lizard and launched a powerful attack on it, and as they did, Rain realized he was lucky to have Kanabe by his side. Luckily, they both left the cave unharmed, and the people showered them with praise. After receiving the bounty for the notorious bandits, they returned to the Adventurers Guild. At the guild, Natalie told Rain about his promotion from F rank to E rank, in recognition of his recent achievements. So with their reward money, they bought themselves new equipment and ate a fancy dinner together. Kanabe was excited to see the comfortable beds in her room, a luxury she never thought she would ever have. However, her excitement completely disappeared when she realized she was going to share the room with ugly-ass Rain. So she began complaining about sharing a room with a creepy, lonely, ugly, disgusting loser.
Damn!
So to make her comfortable, Rain offered camping outside, but Kanabe felt bad about it and asked him to stay. As the weeks passed, Rain and Kanabe continued enjoying the good life they always dreamed of. However, one day, they were informed about a powerful thug who fought travelers moving across the bridge to the city. So Rain accepted the quest, drawn to the huge reward he would receive. As they arrived at the bridge, they saw a beautiful red dragon flying through the air, and after landing, it transformed to a beautiful woman, calling herself Tanya, who told them that they weren't allowed through without a fight. Rain was surprised to discover that the fearful thug was actually a woman, so he asked if she really was responsible for attacking the travelers. After admitting she was, she explained that the bridge was a training ground for her clan, and said the only way to go through was by defeating her. As the battle commenced, Tanya launched a powerful punch towards Rain, and he barely managed to defend himself. However, she was impressed with his strength and unleashed her fire breath, accidentally burning Kanabe's tail. Kanabe became angry and faced Tanya head-on, determined to defeat her. As Rain watched Kanabe hold her ground, matching Tanya's strength with her own, he tried attacking Tanya from her blind spot, but she caught him mid-air, and seeing an open opportunity, she tossed them both into the air, ready to unleash another fire breath on them. In the last moment, however, they kicked off each other's feet, narrowly dodging her attack. Seeing how they managed to evade her ultimate attack, Tanya said they earned her admiration. But Rain decided to fight like the beast tamer he is, and asked Kanabe to buy him some time. After agreeing, she engaged Tanya again, while he formed a temporary contract with a bird, asking it to call for reinforcements. As reinforcements arrived, Rain led the attack against Tanya, overwhelming her with poisons until she became paralyzed. After the battle, he revealed that the birds were called Pedo, and they were known to possess great poison that could bring down any monster. Now that she's been defeated, Tanya wondered if she would be sold off to become someone's plot slave. But Rain promised to spare her, asking her to join his team instead, so she accepted. Tanya decided to surrender, seeing she couldn't continue fighting. But Rain didn't want her to leave forever, so he asked her to join his team. But she thought he was going to force her to develop plot with him. However, Rain assured her that he just wanted to stay by her side, so after Kanabe began bullying her for refusing, she eventually accepted. Later that day, they returned to the guild to claim their reward, and Natalie was surprised to hear they defeated the powerful monster. After noticing Tanya, she wondered if she was a dragon, but Rain denied it, and immediately pulled her outside before she began revealing all their secrets. As they walked through the city, Rain warned Tanya to never reveal her identity to anyone, knowing it would throw people into panic. But as he said his last words, he noticed she had already vanished and had begun showing herself to everyone. So they brought her outside the city, and Rain told her about a safe place she could go, warning her to stay away from trouble. However, she wanted to stay with him, asking him to develop plot with her, so he agreed, realizing he couldn't pass up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to develop plot. The one thing every anime protagonist failed to accomplish. After a few minutes, he nicked his finger, allowing the blood to drop onto his hand, and began creating a bonding spell between them. As he recited the spell, a magical circle appeared under Tanya's feet, and magical rings surrounded her. After saying her own name, the magical circle in Rain's hand went flying into her hand, forming a permanent bond, just like with Kanabe. That night, while Rain was asleep on the floor, Tanya and Kanabe argued over who would watch him sleep. The following day, they went on a new quest to hunt slimes, but after searching for a long time and finding none, Rain decided to cast a spell on a bird. As he gazed into its eyes, he became unconscious, and his mind moved into the bird's body, using it as his own. He explained the technique to Tanya and Kanabe, putting aside his disappointment at not being able to feel the beautiful warmth of Tanya's plot armor, and eventually flying away. A few hours later, they found hundreds of slimes, and Kanabe lifted a rock, ready to crush them. But Tanya stopped her, suggesting Rain utilize the opportunity to practice his fire magic, as she pushed him forward. So he focused on his magic, and unleashing a massive fireball, he caused a great explosion that blotted out the slimes before him. After seeing the surprised look on his face, Tanya told him he had acquired her dragon powers, just as he acquired Kanabe's physical strength. When more slimes began appearing, Rain saw it as an opportunity to practice further, so he asked Tanya to teach him to use the rest of his powers, but she turned out to be the teacher from hell. Later that night, after devouring their dinner, Tanya asked Rain how he became a beast tamer, so he told them his story. When he was younger, his parents were beast tamers, causing him to grow up practicing the magic. He said that one day, after practicing into the late night, he realized his village was on fire and hurriedly ran home. However, when he arrived, he discovered that everyone had been slain by the monsters, and by the morning, he was rescued by the knights of the city and allowed to stay inside an inn, working until he was grown up. Eventually, he joined the heroes' party, where he had hoped to gain recognition. But he gained nothing, and was merely used to carry everyone's backs. When he began to feel pathetic about how dark his past was, Kanabe held his hands, telling him that he's the kindest person she knows for always saving others, and that he should never feel pathetic because of that. Tanya held his hand, telling him that he's too kind for his own good, but she loves that about her new master. However, both of them were pissed off because of the heroes' party and wished to bring their destruction. But Rain wished that he can live the rest of his life together with them. The following day, they went on a new quest, burning and slaying orcs. Tanya thought it would be easy, so she hurried off to find more orcs, and after finding a few of them, Kanabe threw a rock into an orc, smashing his head immediately. One of the other orcs charged towards Tanya, but she stabbed him with her tail, destroying him in that instant. After picking up its rune stone, she approached another one, ready to burn him with her flame, but he caught her ankle and pulled her to the ground. However, she burned its face off and took a moment to rest from exhaustion, but another orc came flying towards her from behind. But luckily, Rain appeared just in time, which allowed Kanabe to kick him in the face, annihilating him on that spot. Seeing the fight was over, Rain healed his wound with magic, and asked Tanya not to feel bad after spotting the guilty look on her face. Later that day, Kanabe told Rain that Tanya was blaming herself for his knife wound, so to make sure she doesn't hurt him anymore, she had decided to stay away from the team for a while, so Rain decided to go look for her. As soon as he found Tanya, she began apologizing to him, saying she was responsible for his injury. However, he wasn't bothered about it, and told her to be careful next time. When he told her Kanabe had been really worried about her, Kanabe immediately joined them, and began telling Tanya that she was very important to them, hugging her and crying. That night, while Rain was sleeping, Tanya watched him quietly, and realized that she might be catching feelings for him. but as she admired him, she thought of staying by his side forever. Several weeks later, while on another quest, they came across members of the heroes' party, a blast from Rain's past. After a minute of staring at each other, Rain began walking away with the girls. However, Arios started teasing him, calling him a worthless loser that never deserved a spot in their team. Having heard enough, Tanya told Arios to stop insulting her master, but Arios continued calling Rain a worthless piece of shit. After discovering Tanya was a dragon, and Kanabe was a cat spirit, Arios wondered why they were following Rain instead of him. When Kanabe told him Rain was their friend, Arios said she was lying, that Rain must be her slave, because he really never saw Rain as anything other than a filthy, useless, ugly servant. Those words didn't sit right with her, so Kanabe told them he was truly their master, so he told Rain that he wanted him back in their team. Since their last quest into a mysterious forest ended without any success, he wanted Rain to scout the road using his beast's taming ability, but Rain told him he was never going to become a member of their group again. Angry by his rejection, Arios began insulting Rain again, telling him his invitation was a grand honor for a useless shit like him. The remaining heroes also insulted Rain, calling him a weak and pathetic loser who had no other place in this world besides carrying their bags for them. Hearing those words, Rain's anger grew, but he decided to just leave. However, Nina called him back, telling him they must find the Shield of Truth in the mysterious forest before the Demon King took over their world, with the same monsters that destroyed his village all those years ago. Rain did not want to see the world destroyed, so he told them he was going to help them find the shield. However, they continued insulting him, calling him a slow dumbass boy pretending to be a man. But as they were leaving, Kanabe and Tanya told them to apologize to Rain. After saying they wouldn't apologize, Tanya's eyes lit up with rage, demanding they begged on their knees, or she would destroy them like the stupid bags they are. Arios suddenly grabbed Rain's shirt, calling him a little rat, and saying he could not be threatened by anyone, so he should tame Tanya and Kanabe because they were filthy pets. Having heard enough, Rain suddenly threw a punch at his face, knocking him straight to the ground, shocking the heroes, and leaving Arios looking around like he was in a dream. However, Rain remained determined, warning him to never call his friends animals again. As Arios stood up, he drew his sword, challenging Rain and his friends to a fight with his team, so after Rain accepted, they decided to split up. Kanabe and August faced off, and as August drew his large blade, slamming it into the ground, he told Kanabe that he had always wanted to fight a cat spirit, so she promised to defeat him. Suddenly, she rushed towards him, surprising him with her speed, and immediately began kicking at his shield, making him fall back. Before having a second to take his breath, she started pounding his blade with her blows, telling him to fight back. Immediately, he slashed his blade, but she dodged his attack. As he raised his sword into the air, it began to burn with fire. He tried splitting her with his powerful secret technique, but she merely kicked the blade away. After she teased him, calling him a weakling, he became ashamed and told her he was only warming up. Ready to show his full strength, he began to burn with fierce power, so Kanabe decided to show some of her own powers too. However, August started trembling, realizing he couldn't possibly beat her. As Kanabe flew at him, ready to deliver a fatal blow, he wondered why someone as powerful as her was following a weak, pathetic loser like Rain, so she told him that Rain was a better human being than the rest of them. She bashed him in the head with a vicious kick, sending him flying into a tree. As the tree went crashing to the ground, Kanabe realized she may have overdone her attack. At the same time, Tanya faced off with Nina and Lin, but she had hoped to fight Arios instead, seeing they hardly looked like worthy opponents. To prove themselves, they decided to fight her with all their powers, and summon the power of their scepters, unleashing a powerful blast at Tanya, but she snapped her fingers and made the blasts vanish into the air. After seeing the stunned look on their faces, Tanya began laughing at them. However, they would not accept defeat, and immediately unleashed another blast towards her, but she snapped her fingers again, causing the blasts to vanish. When they wondered how she cancelled their attacks, she told them she has a magical power that easily destroys any kind of spell. However, they continued unleashing more attacks, and Tanya continued snapping her fingers and vanquishing them. With their attacks failing to reach her, they decided to unleash a mighty wind and a great fire towards Tanya. But with another snap of her fingers, both attacks vanished, leaving Nina and Lin completely drained. Tanya decided to make her own attack, so she summoned a magical ring under her feet, causing the clouds to grow dark. As magical circles appeared in the sky, giant spikes began coming out, ready to destroy them, so Lin and Nina began crying, begging Tanya for mercy. As it seemed they were going to be destroyed, Tanya suddenly withdrew her attack, leaving them to faint from exhaustion. In the forest, Arios continued mocking Rain, calling him a good-for-nothing nobody that deserved to be a slave. But while he was still talking, Rain punched him in the face, telling him to shut up. So Arios slashed his sword at Rain, nicking him in the face. He continued slashing at him, but Rain began dodging his attacks. However, the sword ripped his clothes. As Arios lunged forward with his sword, Rain caught his hand and delivered a great punch to his gut. Immediately, Rain flew at him with a mighty punch, but Arios narrowly dodged his attack. He began slashing his sword again, but Rain continued to dodge everything. As Rain flew at him again, he told him that his overpowered abilities were unlocked since he bonded with Tanya and Kanabe, and that over the years he had studied Arios' movements in battle, making his attacks easy to expect. With a wounded ego, Arios slashed at Rain again, but he dodged it, and with a spin, Rain kicked Arios in the stomach. However, Arios would not accept defeat, and immediately shot lightning at him, but Rain jumped away just in time. As he shot another powerful lightning at Rain, Rain threw a huge fireball of his own, each destroying the other. He was surprised to see Rain block his attack, so he decided to try a different spell. As he summoned magic circles around Rain, huge spikes began coming out of them. Arios decided to take advantage of his distraction, and sent another powerful lightning at him. But luckily, Rain blasted a mighty flame at it, destroying it in that instant. Arios started running towards him with lightning, but he suddenly became paralyzed on the spot, and fell to the ground. Rain showed him a bee, telling him it had stung him earlier in their fight, and was responsible for his paralysis. Arios realized he had lost the fight, so he began to apologize for insulting Rain, and calling him a worthless piece of trash. But Rain did not accept his apology, and punched him in the face, crushing the ground under him. After the fight, Tanya and Kanabe began running towards him, catching him in a warm hug. Later that day, Arios and the other heroes apologized to Rain for all the mean things they called him. However, Tanya wasn't satisfied with their apology and yelled at them, so they apologized again. Arios told Rain that the Shield of Truth was deep within the forest and was being protected by powerful monsters, demanding they brought it to him immediately when they found it, because he was the true hero who could defeat the Demon King. But Kanabe immediately yelled at him, telling him to make no demands from them. Having made up his mind already, Rain accepted to go into the forest and find it. Inside the forest, Rain realized their map was basically useless since the forest had no clear path, so he threw it away. Kanabe and Tanya began wondering if they should really continue on the quest, and tried suggesting that they return to the city. However, Rain told them not to be afraid, and began rubbing their heads to help them relax. He told them that Arios was the only person who could use the shield against the Demon King, and for the sake of the villagers, he was willing to help him. Even though Tanya thought he was being too nice, she promised to stay with him until they were out of the forest, and Kanabe also promised to stay with him. After he whistled, a little bird came flying to Rain's arm, so he casted a spell on it, hoping to move his mind into the bird's body so he could find the road through the forest. After asking Kanabe and Tanya to watch over his body until he returned, and flew off to the sky, following the road that was leading deep into the forest. When he woke up in his body, he told them he had found the road leading to the shield, so they followed the road. However, after several hours, they realized they had been walking in circles as they came across a yellow stone they had already put on the road hours earlier to help in finding their way back. Kanabe wondered if they took the wrong road, but Rain was very sure he saw the right path. Tanya thought there was a mysterious spirit hiding in the forest, causing them to lose their way. So she casted a searching spell, summoning beautiful magical lights that led them to a huge magical tree. She said the tree was creating invincible barriers around the forest, making them lose their way every time, and that destroying the tree was the only way to make it through the forest. However, Rain told her he had not come to destroy the forest, and asked her for a different plant. When she began doubting her other ideas, Kanabe suddenly lunged a punch towards the tree. She was only a few inches away when they all began hearing a voice from inside the tree, commanding them leave the forest immediately. While they were still looking surprised, a young fairy came out of the tree, moving towards them. Fairies had gone into hiding for 200 years after a war with humans, so Rain wondered why a fairy was revealing herself to him. But before he could finish saying his words, she demanded they leave her home. Rain tried introducing himself, but she threatened to destroy them all like cockroaches, so they immediately ran away. As they stopped to take their breath, Rain told them there was something strange about the fairy, and he was determined to return to the tree to find out. However, Tanya told him it was a terrible idea. Since her spell led them to the tree, she thought the shield was being hidden inside of it, so she suggested that Kanabe destroyed the tree, while she distracted the fairy with her own magic. However, Rain said he would rather try having another conversation with the fairy, even if it was a huge risk, so they began returning to the magical tree. Once he got back, Rain introduced himself to the fairy, saying he merely wished to speak with her, but she told him to leave again. Rain remembered coming across a wounded wolf all those years ago that looked ready to devour him, but after healing her wound, she became his friend. So he was determined to show the young fairy some kindness and to win her trust, as she summoned magical arrows, threatening to kill him on the spot. He told her he wasn't going to fight with her. When Kanabe and Tanya tried coming between them, he asked them to stay back, ready to take the onslaught. The fairy was surprised by his selfless act, but still fired the arrows at him, ripping his clothes and nicking his face. Yet he stood his ground, determined not to run away. Rain told her he only wanted to ask some questions and had no intentions of harming her, but she thought he had come to trick her, so she attacked him with more arrows. However, Kanabe pushed him out of the way, and Tanya stood in front of the arrows, ready to stop them from harming him. They told the fairy that Rain was a nice human who liked saving people, and that he never intended to hurt her in the first place. So she finally introduced herself as Sora, saying she had never met a human so kind before, and decided to have a conversation with him. Later that day, after telling her they came looking for the Shield of Truth, Sora told them the magical barrier in the forest was created to keep out humans who were looking for the fairy village. She said there were no monsters hiding the shield, but only fairies. As she summoned a strange light, she vanished into it and came out with the shield, handing it to Rain. While wondering if she wanted his help in return, she told him that passing on the shield was merely her duty. But as they began leaving, Rain realized something was definitely bothering Sora, so he returned to her, telling her that he really wanted to help her in any way he can. However, she was reluctant to reveal her problems, but when Tanya and Kanabe told her that Rain always wanted to help everyone, she was finally able to open up. She told them that her twin sister was caught by the Demon King during their short visit outside the village, and when she tried fighting him, she discovered their magic could not cause a scratch on him. With the monster asking her to take down the barrier in exchange for her sister, she decided to run away and asked for help from the village chief, but he just told her to abandon her sister. After Rain discovered the monster was a Shadow Knight, he told them it was a C-rank monster that could not be attacked by magic, so it was a lost fight from the beginning. As Sora began crying, Rain wiped her tears away, promising to rescue her sister. She told him the monster was threatening to kill her sister later that night, so Rain began heading out and asked her to wait behind. Before long, they found the Shadow Knight and saw Sora's sister, Runa, hanging from a tree, so they all began charging towards him. Rain shot a powerful flame at him, looking to burn him to ashes, but he was unscathed. As he mocked their magic, Kanabe went flying through the air and kicked him on the head. Rain followed up with a great punch, but the knight merely went back a few inches. After the Shadow Knight realized they were sent by Sora, he threw his sword at Runa with full force to split her, but Tanya blocked his attack with her wing. After freeing Runa, as Tanya began flying away, the knight tried attacking her, but Rain and Kanabe kicked him on the head. The Shadow Knight summoned a mighty wind from his sword, obliterating the trees before him, so Rain asked Kanabe to attack him with another blow, while he distracted him with a spell. As soon as she nodded her head, he jumped away from the timber and began casting a spell to summon an army of bees. As the bees distracted the knight, he tried slashing them with his sword, allowing Rain to cast another spell on Kanabe, which gave her a mysterious glowing power. Immediately, she began running towards the knight, and as she delivered a fatal blow to his chest, a hole ripped open in his heart, causing him to vanish in that instant. Rain explained to Kanabe that his spell increased her strength temporarily, making her attacks much more lethal. Tanya appeared before them, telling them that Runa was alive, but she was unconscious. However, Runa began to wake up, wondering who they were, so Rain revealed that they came to save her, because her sister was worried about her. After returning to the magical tree, Runa and Sora were happy to see each other again, so Runa asked Rain to develop plot with her, and feel her beautiful lemons in his warm hands. Having been abandoned by their own people, Sora told Rain they could no longer stay in the forest. When she wondered where they could go, Kanabe asked them to join their team, and after a little persuasion, the fairies accepted to follow them. So Runa told Rain that she could not wait to feel his wood in her pineapple, and asked him to take them as his new wives. So Rain did his magic again, nicking his finger like in the other holy matrimonies, and allowed the blood to drop onto his hand, creating a small magical circle. As he began the spell, a larger sigil appeared under the girls, and the mysterious magical rings began moving around them. As they said their names, the magic circle in Rain's hand went flying into their own hands to create another permanent magical bond. After opening their eyes, they began staring at the magic circle. Rain started feeling dizzy as a result of the spell, but as he fell, the fairies caught him immediately. The following day, Rain arrived at the hero's base, showing them the Shield of Truth, but they said he was lying, wondering how he found it in only a few days. After Arios accused him of bringing the wrong shield to them, Rain told them to check for themselves. Using her appraisal ability, Nina discovered it was the real shield, so Arios became jealous, ashamed of their own failure at finding it. However, he paid Rain for finding the shield. But as Rain began leaving, August asked him to rejoin their team. He said they needed him in the group, seeing what little progress they've made since he left. However, Rain realized they were the same stupid, ugly, disgusting douchebags that asked him to leave the team, so he told them he liked his new life. After he left, Arios became determined to destroy him. Later that day, when Nina asked Rain if the hero was the only one who could fight the Demon King, he began telling them the story of the very first hero. Many years ago, after the Demon King put the whole world under his spell, the first hero visited the gods, and after receiving their blood as a gift, he defeated him and finally freed everyone. However, he believed that no one can defeat the Demon King without the blood of the gods, but Sora wondered why he doesn't become the hero of this world, especially since he already possessed unique powers from their magical bond. It had always been Rain's lifelong dream to become a hero. However, he told Sora he needed more time to think about it. The next day, while having breakfast, Tanya told Rain to buy himself a new weapon, since he lost his last one while rescuing Kanabe from the killer tiger. So later that day, they came to a weapons shop. Runa asked Rain to buy a whip, saying she wanted to feel his whip on her peach and turn this into 50 Shades of Grey. But he decided to pick a dagger instead. As he looked at it, he realized it was a weak dagger that would break in a fight. But before he told Kanabe, a young man walked into the shop, asking to buy the most expensive sword ever. After the owner of the shop gave him a fine gold sword, he practiced a few slashes and left to fight monsters. However, Rain decided to ask the owner of the shop why he sold the man a cheap sword that would break in a battle. The owner of the shop was surprised, so he told Rain that they always threw away his sword after finding a much shinier sword. As he showed them some of his masterpiece swords, he told them he cared more about his swords than for their gold, but wondered how Rain discovered his swords were not good for battle. Rain told him he tried using his special ability on the knife, the same way he used them on animals, and realized it was a terrible weapon. Impressed by his unique ability, the man decided to make him the most powerful sword he could create. However, they had to find the special crystals needed for making it, because all of his crystals had mysteriously vanished from his cave. Rain thought his crystals were being stolen, and offered to look for them, but when the owner of the shop asked how much money he wanted in return, Rain told him he didn't want any money, he only wanted his sword. Later at the Adventurers Guild, they were all surprised to see dozens of adventurers looking at the job board. Natalie told them that Arios and the Heroes Party were looking to add new members to their team, to help them in fighting the Demon King. As Tanya and Kanabe began noticing the sad look on Rain's face, they wondered if he was still feeling hurt by their betrayal. But he began rubbing their heads, telling them they were more important to him than the Heroes Party. After Sora and Runa introduced themselves to Natalie, Rain told Natalie that he had been assigned on a new quest to find crystals. That same day, the team headed for the cave together, excited that it was close to the city. However, before walking a far distance, Runa and Sora became tired and couldn't continue walking, so Rain decided to allow them to rest at a lake. A couple of minutes later, Rain heard a scream and began running towards the lake. As he arrived, he discovered Kanabe was merely bitten by a fish, and the girls were all f***ing naked, so they screamed at the sight of him. After a few hours, they arrived at the cave. Rain noticed a strange bird flying in the sky, and tried telling the girls, but before saying the words, two men came out of the cave, looking for them. Hoping to find out what was being done in the cave, Rain told Kanabe and Tanya to capture the men, but instead, they knocked them unconscious. However, Sora and Runa decided to search through their memories, and as they did, they discovered that the crystals were being stolen by a group of adventurers. So Rain told them they were going to enter the mine, and when he noticed the bird spying on them from above, he had an idea who the adventurer was. As they walked down the cave, a great flame began flying towards them, looking to burn everything in its path. But Sora and Runa immediately created a magical circle, allowing them to block the flame like a shield. The thieves prepared another attack, But Runa and Sora summoned a powerful spell that tied them up with magical rings, causing their fires to burn out. 2 other thieves fired arrows at Tanya, but she melted them with her flames. Immediately, Kanabe kicked one of the thieves in the head before he could fire another arrow, while Tanya knocked down the second thief with her tail. After Kanabe tied them up, Rain faced off with the Beast Tamer, saying they had come to capture him. But the Beast Tamer drew his knife, determined to kill everyone. As he attacked Rain, Rain blocked his knife and punched him deep in his belly, blowing the wind out of his lungs. However, the Beast Tamer immediately casted a spell, summoning a huge B-rank monster that came flying into the cave. He called the monster Bahamus, saying he found it while it was still young, and tamed it to do whatever he commanded. As he told Bahamus to destroy everyone, it immediately flew towards the team, with Rain narrowly dodging as it punched the ground and caused the cave to begin crumbling. Bahamus tried attacking Rain again, but he dodged it by a split second. After dodging another attack from the monster, a rock hit Rain's shoulder, causing him to lose his strength. At the Beast Tamer's command, Bahamus tried pounding Rain into the ground, but Kanabe pulled him away just in time. She told him everyone had been rescued from the cave, and she had returned to fight the monster. However, Rain told her to capture the Beast Tamer instead. But as he said his last words, the Beast Tamer told them he was going to kill both of them to protect his secrets. At that moment, Bahamus flew towards Rain and Kanabe, punching hard into the ground, but they jumped away just in time. However, it continued attacking Rain, but he kept dodging the blows. As Rain blasted it with a fireball, he realized it was unscathed by his attack, but while they were distracted, Kanabe caught the Beast Tamer. As he increased the power of his spell, the monster became more powerful, and began attacking Rain without stopping. However, Rain decided to test his full ability, so as the monster charged at him one more time, he casted a new spell on it, and began controlling it, shocking the Beast Tamer. When the Beast Tamer tried controlling the monster again, the magical circle in his hand vanished. Suddenly, the monster rushed towards its previous master, looking to crush his bones to dust, but Rain unleashed a great flame at the monster, pulverizing it in that instant. He told the Beast Tamer that the monster deserved no place in their world, seeing how it could never be completely tamed. After returning to the weapons shop, Rain explained to the owner of the shop that the thieves began stealing his crystals because he stopped selling good swords to them, as they considered it their way of getting even with him. So having realized his terrible decision of selling good swords to very few people, the owner of the shop finally decided to make good swords for everyone to buy. He wondered what kind of weapon Rain would like him to make, so Rain told him he wanted a dagger and a gauntlet. A few days later, Runa and Sora decided to ask Rain if he got any new abilities since their magical bonding, but he told them he didn't develop any new abilities. When they began feeling sad, he told them he was happy seeing them in his bed every night, and wanted them to stay with him forever. Sora wondered why he cared about them as if he were their husband, so he told her about his past. When he joined the heroes' party, he was constantly afraid, so he hid himself every time they fought against monsters. However, when he started having some courage, they decided to kick him out, which made him very lonely and determined to never let his friends feel the same way. As they walked to get lunch, they came across a young arrogant perv, Edgar, the son of the Lord, who demanded to know Runa and Sora's names, saying he was going to take them home and become their new master. After Runa asked him to leave them alone, Edgar snapped his fingers, commanding his knights to surround them. However, Rain knocked them to the ground with a single punch. Realizing he was losing, Edgar commanded his knights to hold the people captive, threatening to slay them all. Sora offered to save the people with her magic, but Rain was afraid that the people would run away after discovering she was a fairy. So he decided to try a new magic, and began summoning flames from magical sigils, unleashing them at the remaining knights and burning them. This was a new ability he received from bonding with the fairies, and he was only just discovering it. He shoved a sword in Edgar's face, asking him to leave, so Edgar began running away. And with peace finally restored, the people began thanking him, calling him their hero. Later that day, Rain told the girls that Edgar was known for being a stupid f***ing perv who captured little girls and forced them into his bed. When Tanya wondered why he had not been arrested, Rain told her he was the son of the Lord, and the knights were all working for him. So Tanya decided to destroy the Lord's castle and free all the little girls that had been captured. But Rain said they could not attack a Lord's home. He wished to save the people, but was afraid of risking the safety of Sora and Runa. After Kanabe and Tanya discovered he was worried about them, they told him to stop acting like a f***ing pussy and to face his fears for once. The next day, Rain and Kanabe visited the Adventurers Guild, asking that Edgar be arrested for trying to kill innocent people. But as he let those words out, a group of knights appeared behind them, saying Edgar was the greatest saint in the world and could never be arrested. As Rain and Kanabe began walking down the street, they came across a young lady, Stella, who was the vice captain of the army. After introducing herself, she told them she needed their help in arresting Edgar. With every other knight in the city corrupt, it was her duty to destroy them all and restore peace to the city. However, Rain began wondering if Stella was trying to lure them into a trap. But Kanabe told him her intention was to help her people, so Rain began thinking of a plan to defeat the corrupt knights. As the days passed, they created a great plan, and eventually lured some corrupt knights to an abandoned warehouse. After the knights walked inside, arrows flew into the air, annihilating them on the spot. The captain shouted for the remaining knights to escape, but the door was immediately sealed by Sora and Runa from outside the warehouse. More arrows continued flying, eventually killing the remaining knights. When Stella wondered how Rain found the gauntlet for firing the arrows, he told her it was a gift from the owner of the weapons shop. As he launched one final arrow towards the captain of the knights, hoping to annihilate him in that moment, the captain slashed his sword at the arrow and blocked the attack. The captain demanded to know where he was, so Rain and Stella revealed themselves to him. Stella challenged the captain to a fight and jumped to the ground in front of him. She told him to plead for her forgiveness, but he charged towards her, slashing his sword with continued attacks, but she blocked everything. As the captain's sword went flying into the air, he took advantage of her distraction and hit her with a mighty punch to the face, sending her flying to the ground and calling her a stupid, naive girl. They charged towards each other, and she slayed him with a single slash of her sword, leaving him to fall to the ground, wounded. Inside the Lord's castle, Arios appeared at Edgar's window, giving him a mysterious ring to kill Rain. That same night, Stella, Kanabe, Tanya, and a few other knights arrived at the castle, demanding to arrest Edgar. However, the knights guarding the gates didn't allow them in, and immediately called for 100 more knights to surround them. After a short battle, the castle gates were blown open, and Kanabe and Tanya walked right in. At the same time, Rain and the fairies entered a room in the castle, having snuck in unnoticed. Runa casted a searching spell, hoping to discover the whereabouts of the captured little girls, and soon told them there was a powerful ultimate species being kept in a separate cell below. So Rain told her and Sora to find the remaining girls, while he rescued the overpowered slave girl. After arriving in another room, Rain found a little three-tailed fox girl locked up in the cell. She was another ultimate species, a demigod of magical powers. With a single punch, Rain broke the cell lock and healed the girl from her wounds, telling her that he was here to rescue her, and introduced himself. She introduced herself as Nina, and immediately rushed into his arms with relief. She was taken away from her home several months ago by Edgar after he threatened to kill her family, and he put a powerful collar around her neck to stop her from ever using her powers to escape. Rain decided to break the collar using a spell, but the spell blew up in his hands, making him scream from the shock. However, he was able to channel his inner magical powers from Kanabe, Tanya, and the fairies. With a new spell, he finally vanquished the evil collar and freed Nina. As he fell from exhaustion, she caught him, and with tears in her eyes, she promised to stay by his side forever. At the same time, Kanabe and Tanya continued destroying the castle knights outside. When the leader of the knights decided to use the abducted girls as hostages, a rain of fire suddenly came flying through the air and burning them in that instant. Sora and Runa appeared behind Kanabe and Tanya, having launched the flames, and told them the abducted girls had all been freed. Inside the castle, while Rain was hurrying out, he suddenly ran into the girls. As they stared at Nina, Rain decided to introduce them to each other, but the girls began teasing him, saying he wanted to marry as many ultimate species as he could find. Stella told Rain that they needed to find Edgar before he fled the city, but just as she said her last words, Edgar's father ran into them, carrying a chest full of gold. When he said he wasn't going to surrender to them, Rain fired a rope towards him, tying him up, and pulled him down the steps. Edgar suddenly hurried out, saying he was going to kill Rain. As he pointed his ring towards Rain, a mysterious smoke came out of it, transforming into the fucking Grim Reaper. Before Rain could dodge the attack, the Grim Reaper stabbed his scythe into Rain's heart, but he wasn't hurt by it. As the girls wondered what the just happened, Runa decided to cast a dark spell on Rain, but he was unscathed. so she told Rain that he received another unique ability from their magical bonding, which gave him protection from evil spells. Edgar was confused seeing Rain alive and began plotting another scheme. However, the mysterious smoke came out of his ring again and began devouring him. Rain decided to save him and immediately unleashed a giant ball of flame at the smoke, causing the castle to explode. However, the smoke began puffing strange dust, and a great demon ripped his way out of the thick smoke, thanking Rain for freeing him from his prison. He said he destroyed Rain's village all those years ago and had returned to destroy the whole world, so he immediately flew away, looking to destroy the city. Desperate to save the people, Rain arrived at the city with Kanabe, Tanya, Sora, and Runa. After Rain told the demon that he came to kill him, Kanabe swiftly attacked him and flew into a wall to punch him from behind. So Tanya knocked him back with her tail, allowing Rain to tie him up with a rope. However, the demon easily broke the rope, unscathed by their attacks. Sora and Runa immediately launched an attack of their own, as they summoned magical circles above the demon, blasting him with a powerful light. While the team were waiting to see if the Demon King was dead, he casually walked out of the destruction. Intending to distract them, the demon summoned monsters from under the ground, commanding them to attack the team. However, the team destroyed them all in an instant, hoping to continue their attacks on him. As they celebrated their little victory, the demon summoned more monsters from out of the ground, commanding them to attack the team again. Kanabe began running towards the monsters, determined to defeat them like the previous beasts. But suddenly, the demon shot her with a powerful blast, sending her crashing to the ground. Tanya unleashed a great flame at the demon, but he launched another blast of his own, overpowering her and causing her to scream in pain. After Rain healed Kanabe, he hurried to help Tanya, but she immediately stood up from the ground, telling him she wasn't injured. The demon unleashed a great blast into the sky that fell on the city and began burning the houses, but Rain was determined to defeat him and swiftly launched a bunch of flames at him. However, none of them scathed the demon, so Runa and Sora suddenly launched a light arrow from the sky, stabbing the demon on the spot. Rain decided to take advantage of the attack, so he began casting a temporary spell on Kanabe and Tanya, giving them overpowered abilities. They flew towards the demon, pounding him with continued punches. As Runa and Sora summoned a powerful light to launch the demon to the sky, Kanabe attacked him with a mighty punch, sending him crashing into the ground. However, the demon remained on his feet, telling them he was impressed by their attacks. As he snapped his fingers, thousands of dragon monsters appeared before their eyes, and the demon began flying towards the sky, ready to destroy the entire city with another devastating blast. The team realized the blast would be very powerful, so Tanya tried launching another flame at the demon, but it barely reached him. As Rain wondered how they would destroy the monsters and rescue the people of their city, Sora and Runa told him they were going to teleport everyone outside the city. As Kanabe and Tanya continued destroying the monsters, more monsters continued attacking them. However, several adventurers decided to join the battle and began slaying the monsters, allowing Rain, Kanabe, and Tanya to run towards the demon. Rain tried firing an arrow towards it, but he discovered that the demon was surrounded by too many monsters. As they thought of a way to teleport him closer, Nina suddenly ran towards Rain, saying she wanted to help him fight the demon. Since Nina had the ability to create immediate teleportation, Rain thought she was going to be very helpful and began running off with her. The demon decided to attack Rain with a powerful blast, but Rain fired a rope to a rooftop and jumped on it, continuing with his run and narrowly dodging the demon's other attacks. The demon launched a mighty blast towards Rain, looking to destroy him in that moment, but Nina teleported them closer to the demon, allowing Rain to cast a temporary spell on himself and increase his physical abilities. He immediately flew towards the demon and began casting a powerful spell that tied him up with magical rings. Suddenly, a strange dark energy began consuming Rain, causing him to scream from the pain. However, the voice of all of his companions flashed into his head, and he began to slowly dominate the dark energy, forcing all the demons to begin obeying him. Shocked by this outcome, the demon wondered how Rain was able to control his own monsters, so Rain told him he was the most overpowered beast tamer in the world, and raised his hand into the sky to control the rest of the demons. Suddenly, the demon broke out of the magical rings, rushing towards Rain to end him, but Rain commanded the monsters to attack him. As they devoured the demon, they exploded in a powerful ray of light. With only a piece of the demon left, he asked to know who Rain was as he was vanishing, but Rain told him he wasn't going to reveal his name. Having exhausted herself, Nina lost her power and began falling to the ground with Rain, but Tanya managed to catch them midair, saving them both. Several days later, Rain decided to add one more wife to the group, so he nicked his finger and poured a drop of his blood on his hand. After a small magical circle appeared in his hand, he began another spell for his fourth fucking marriage. As soon as Nina said her name, the magical circle in his hand flew into her own hand in another magical wedding. The following day, Rain met Stella at the Adventurers Guild, so she told him she had come to request for the assistance of a few adventurers to help in patrolling the city. She thanked him for saving their city, and said he was the best husband for all his wives. A few minutes later, Natalie told Rain that he has been promoted to a C-rank adventurer. Rain thought it was a mistake, seeing he should be moving to a D rank instead. But Natalie told him he received 2 promotions. After she saw Nina, Rain decided to introduce them to each other, calling Nina his newest wife, and said his room was no longer big enough for everyone, so he wanted another room for himself. However, Natalie suggested they buy a house of their own instead, where they could live as one big happy family. After the girls said they wanted to fight for their place in his kitchen, Rain decided to buy a house. That same day, they visited a few disgusting houses, hoping to find their dream home. But when they began wondering if they would ever find a place they love, they eventually came across the perfect house. Tanya wondered why Natalie didn't show them this house the first time, so she told them it was being haunted by ghosts. Tanabe was afraid of ghosts and began trembling at the thought of moving in, so Rain decided to find the ghosts hiding inside the house. As they arrived inside, they saw the furniture moving, and they heard a voice telling them to leave immediately. But they decided to stay and watched as a ghost came out of the ground, transforming to a beautiful girl. Sora and Runa decided to cast a purification spell on the ghost, but it merely vanished and reappeared on the ceiling before their eyes. Sora told them the girl was not an evil creature, but rather another mystical being that was teleporting herself across the room. Runa said she was going to destroy the ghost with a unique spell that would destroy the entire house along with it. So the ghost girl started screaming for them to leave her house. After realizing Kanabe was the only one afraid of ghosts, the ghost girl chased her into a corner of the room, telling her to leave the house immediately. But Kanabe realized the ghost had no powers and slashed her across the body with her claws, chasing her across the room. The ghost girl tried disappearing into the walls, but Sora and Runa stopped her with their spells. As Rain tried asking her to become his 6th fucking wife, the ghost girl suddenly flew towards him, looking to possess him. But he stopped her midair with his unique ability. After discovering she was a phantom spirit, Rain tried wooing her with his smooth Redditor pickup lines, so she accepted to develop plot with him. The ghost girl introduced herself as Tina, and told them she reincarnated into this house after dying in the hands of a psychotic boss. With Rain hoping to add more wives, he asked her to marry him forever, but she thought he was merely interested in developing plot with her. So Tanya told her Rain was the greatest husband in the world, causing her to finally accept becoming wife number 6. Later that night, while having dinner, Rain realized he was very lucky having so many wives around him, and wishing he could continue living like this forever. Set your heart ablaze, go beyond your limits, and watch this next video.